Well, the Stephanie Mentor murder happened in my district. And I've heard from people in my district, they're very upset about it. They're very upset that somebody got murdered in my district and by a violent, undocumented immigrant. And the guy who murdered her is exactly the kind of person the Trump administration should have been focusing on getting people out of this country instead of going after poets and veteran nurses. And the 75% of the people that ICE has gone after don't have criminal histories. If the Trump administration would focus their efforts truly on violent, undocumented immigrants, then maybe that wouldn't have happened. And so I think that they've got the blame all misplaced. If they would just focus on doing what they promised in their campaign, maybe she'd be alive today.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Do you think Fairfax County officials should take some responsibility for this? The Fairfax County Sheriff doesn't honor ICE detainers, requires judicial warrants, which you can't get, according to several legal experts, because this is a state charge. And you have Descano, who drops charges against this guy. I looked at his court record in Fairfax County, more than 40 charges, most of them dropped. Do you think they should take some accountability?
Right, well, I don't know what the history was about why they got dropped. A lot of times in cases like that, they have problems with witnesses showing up to court and they can't make their case and cases have to be dropped. So I don't know exactly what the history was with all that. With regard to the sheriff's role and all that, the sheriff follows Virginia law and she advises ICE every time somebody's arrested. ICE knows that somebody's in jail, they know when they're gonna get released, and ICE can't get their act together to come and pick people up because they're busy going after poets and veteran nurses and these other priorities the Trump administration has them all sent off to Minnesota and these other states instead of doing their job. And I think the Trump administration needs to do what they promised.
But this particular case, ICE is requesting this specific individual to be handed over to them by the Fairfax County Sheriff, and in this specific instance, the sheriff won't unless they have a judicial warrant. What do you make of that?
Well, why isn't ICE there when the guy's released? They know when he's going to get released. Why doesn't ICE come and why aren't they there to pick him up? Because
the sheriff doesn't tell him.
I'm not certain that's the case. That's not how the sheriff has described it to me in terms of how she manages the process.
How convenient is that? Wow.
ICE is advised, to my understanding, when somebody's going to be released, just most of the time they're not there to pick anybody up.
So this talk about a judicial warrant, can you provide a roadmap on how ICE would obtain a judicial warrant from a state court, general district levels? They can't, right?
They're not, I don't think they're talking about obtaining warrants from state court. They're talking about obtaining federal warrants.
So if they don't have a federal charge, how do they get one?
My understanding is that ICE can go get judicial warrants. And you know, we've had several attorney general opinions that have said that unless it's a judicial warrant, it's unconstitutional, it's illegal for the sheriff to hold somebody past the time they have legal authority to hold them. So I think we had one sheriff that actually got sued for holding people using non-judicial detainers and had to pay money for it.
Yeah, so there is a debate, and it has been for a long time, about can you hold people 48 hours after their release date. Yeah. This is not what ICE is requesting. They're requesting the governor, they're requesting the sheriff to notify them when he would be released. Now, he is facing murder charges. I'm sure he's not going to get out anytime soon, but they're just asking for that notification. And the response ICE is receiving is you have to go get a warrant. So how would ICE go and get one if this is a state charge, not a federal?
Well, I mean, presumably ICE is now aware for, I don't know, the second or third or fifth or 10th time that the guy is present in the United States. I would assume they could get some kind of a charge to say that he's illegally present in the United States to go get whatever paperwork they need to get a warrant to get him into their system and removed.
So this back and forth, does it make your residents safer? I mean, you have a sheriff, you have a Commonwealth's attorney, you have a board of supervisors, you have a governor who doesn't want to cooperate and work with ICE. Does this make Fairfax County residents safer?
The sheriff follows state law when it comes to ICE, and she follows federal law when it comes to ICE.
That's 100% a lie.
The Trump administration chooses to put their resources into tracking down and finding people that going after poets and after nurses and people like that, or chasing down people without criminal histories, instead of focusing their resources on people who have violent felony convictions. That's where the focus should be.
Well, ICE says they've lodged detainers against this man before. Just last question. They lodged a detainer against this man before. So you say they're focused on poets and everybody else, the gardener, whatever. They're focused on this guy who's accused of murdering a woman, and they have been focused on getting this guy before, but they're saying the sheriff just never notified them about his release date.
The Trump administration ought to do more than just issue a paper. They ought to use their people to go and find violent, undocumented immigrants instead of going after people without criminal histories, which is what they've been doing all around our state.
It's all your fault!